Chapter 51. Occasionally obtaining the heavenly execution stone. After the last time, inexplicable breakthrough, when a fairy has been suspicious for a long time, now, once again breakthrough, and still very difficult to get the heavenly palace. Open the heavenly palace. He or she has inexplicably opened the heavenly palace. Inexplicably, when a fairy completely woke up from that state of disorientation and looked at Gu Hai in front of her, Fairy Wenner had broken through, and Gu Hai had likewise broken through. The second level of the Yuanying realm. Third level of Yuanying realm. In the Fire God Palace, Gu Hai's Yuanying embryo was completely gone, leaving only a tiny red transparent baby standing there. Gu Hai's Yuanying was still quite small, but, with Gu Hai's consciousness poured in, the little fire baby seemed to come alive, hugging Immortal Wenner's Yuanying, who was one size bigger than him. A man and a woman, one big and one small. The two Yuanying looked at each other as if the two people in the outside world were looking at each other. Under the operation of the heaven and earth great compassion fulfillment, the two Yuanying looked at each other as if they were frantically growing. In the midst of intermingling, they continued to strengthen. Around them, the rolling drought demon fire was the best nourishment for the two Yuan babies, constantly promoting them to be strong. Gu Hai was no longer afraid of the drought demon flame, and even under the absorption of the Yuanying, the rolling drought demon flame had become a great tonic. Immortal Wenner looked at Gu Hai. Gu Hai looked at Immortal Wenner, and in the eyes of the two of them, love climbed up. However, no one opened their mouths first, only that burst of collision sound was thickening their feelings. From the first time they met, the two of them fought each other, and Fairy Wenner was depressed and defeated, to later on, several times letting Fairy Wenner suffer. The two of them seemed to have formed an unbreakable bond from that time onwards. It wasn't until the last Mending Heaven sect that they finally broke through that layer. Then later, Gu Hai had saved Fairy Wenner, and Fairy Wenner had saved Gu Hai. An indescribable process, yet it seemed like it had gone through so much. Fairy Wenner's cultivation slowly stabilized. Gu Hai's cultivation, which had impacted to the peak of the third level of the Yuanying realm, was also as if it had reached the extreme. Perhaps because the heaven and earth great grief fulfillment was still able to break through. But the level of the drought demon's flame was clearly no longer able to satisfy the duo's consumption. The duo kept it up for a day, when as Yuanying slowly withdrew from the ancient sea fire god palace, the two slowly separated. Standing in the middle of the great fire, the two were now like fish in water, and did not feel the slightest bit of discomfort. Looking at each other, there was a lot of softness in their eyes. Gently, Gu Hai's hand touched towards Fairy Wenner's hair. Fairy Wenner, however, suddenly frowned and twisted her head, not allowing Gu Hai to stroke it. "What's wrong?" Gu Hai softly said. "We can't be together." Fairy Wenner shook her head. Turning over her hand, Fairy Wenner took out a garment and put it on her body. The fire burned, but the fire cauldron's body's control over the fire made the clothes unharmed. "Why?" Gu Hai frowned. Immortal Wenner bit her lips and didn't say anything. Instead, she suddenly took out a man's clothes, but it was exactly the right clothes for Gu Hai, as if it had long existed in a storage space. "Don't ask, okay." A hint of thirst came through Fairy Wenner's eyes. Gu Hai stared at one of Fairy's somewhat terrified eyes. His heart softened, and he nodded. "Okay, I won't ask. When you want to come back when you want." Fairy Wenner revealed a bitter smile and didn't speak, but slowly put on Gu Hai's clothes. The two stopped talking and allowed Gu Hai to slowly put on a black robe. The drought demon fire could no longer help Gu Hai, who lowered his head and looked downwards at the great fire that was constantly emerging from below. "What's down here?" Gu Hai wondered. Stepping forward, he pulled Fairy Wenner's hand towards the bottom. "Shall I call you Wenner from now on?" While heading downwards, Gu Hai softly said, "My name is Lim Wenner." Fairy Wenner nodded. Lin Wanna. Gu Hai nodded. The duo soon had reached the bottom of the flames. Rumble. At the bottom of the volcano, apart from the dryad flame, but there was also a large amount of lightning flashing. Oh, the duo looked downwards in surprise. However, they saw that in the middle of the bottom, there was a piercing brightness bubbling up. The fire of the drought demon was only a trace of this piercing light that had coalesced. That light carried an extreme piercing brightness. Gu Hai and Immortal Wanna's eyes were a little hard to open due to the piercing light. It took a while before they slowly adapted. That Fairy Wanna's eyes steeply glared. However, she saw that underneath the piercing light, lightning flashed. In the center of the lightning, there was a purple boulder, and below the boulder, there seemed to be a group of golden runes floating in the void. The purple boulder pressed against the runes, and together with the runes, they suppressed the light below. And the endless thunder and lightning, as this purple boulder emerges. This is the Heavenly Destruction Stone. Fairy Wanna's face abruptly changed. Heavenly Destruction Stone. Gu Hai raised an eyebrow. Suddenly, he remembered when you got the news from the demon ghost spirit. What stone was the strongest in the world? Heaven Execution Stone. There really was this kind of stone. It's really the Heavenly Execution Stone. Then, wouldn't what's being suppressed down here be? Lin Wanna was surprised. What's wrong? This Heaven Execution Stone, is it rare? Gu Hai asked curiously. Heavenly Execution Stone. There are only 2 pieces in heaven and earth. One forged the Immortal Execution Sword. And this is the second piece. Fairy Wanna smiled bitterly. Oh, I finally understand. That Eastern Shai, he condensed the blood dragon in order to obtain this Heavenly Execution Stone, as well as that treasure underneath, where the Heavenly Execution Stone is suppressed. No, that treasure. He's not qualified. Fairy Wanna's complexion twitched as she said. What do you mean? That what treasure is not qualified? This heaven-destroying stone, he's qualified. Gu Hai said doubtfully. The Heavenly Execution Stone is so hard that it can't be refined into a magic treasure at all. Although the strongest group of people in the world know of its preciousness, but they are not crazy about it yet. After all, the Immortal Execution Sword isn't that good to refine. But what's down here is different, although it's not the 16 great Dharma treasures of the ancient ages. But perhaps it's almost the same, Lin Wanna said bitterly. You know, Gu Hai said in surprise. Lin Wanna nodded and said, I've read the canonical texts in the Wuxia Taoist cult, and with the Heavenly Execution Stone as the suppression, it's self-evident as to who the Death Grave Valley is sealing. Heh, is it her? It's her, Zhongbao, the grave of Zhongbao. Zhongbao, who? Gu Hai curiously said. 3,000 years ago, it was Zhongbian who was the most magnificent, and the world trembled for a female devil. She is the Zhong family. In addition to the family head, the most gifted a woman. Buddhism, Taoism, demons and devils, all kinds of spells, she's all proficient in. The drought demon's fire, also created by her. The drought demons under the heavens are all out of her. She's the originator of the drought demons. Lin Wanna revealed a hint of shock. The drought demon fire, she created it. Created? Gu Hai revealed a hint of surprise. Yes, there was no such flame in the world before. It was a combination of Buddha fire, Tao fire, and demon fire that she condensed. However, for 3,000 years, it was sealed for some reason, and it turned out to be here. Must leave here as soon as possible. Otherwise, once she comes out, the consequences are unimaginable. And under this Heavenly Execution Stone, what's being suppressed should be the treasure that was refined by Zhongche before she was sealed. The canonical books didn't say what it was, but I only heard that once that treasure came out, the strongest people in the world smelled the wine and moved. Lin Wanna said worriedly. Oh, Gu Hai's eyes narrowed slightly. Let's just go first. Fairy Wanna was worried. Since we're here, how can we just walk away? That treasure, I don't want it either, but this heavenly execution stone, I want it, Gu Hai said in a deep voice. But if I don't take it, could I give it to that Eastern Shoshai to take it by force? Don't worry, we'll be fine, Gu Hai comforted. The heavenly execution stone. Gu Hai probed his hand and grabbed towards the heaven execution stone. Boom! A large amount of lightning boomed straight at Gu Hai. Buzz! Inside the fire god palace, the eyes of the fire god, little elemental, glared as it probed and grabbed. Rumble! Rolling thunderbolts were rumbled into his body. Thunder fire was also a type of fire. The fire god was in the midst of patiently absorbing it. Gu Hai, however, slowly approached the heaven execution stone. Roar! Steeply, the heaven execution stone actually let out an anthropomorphic roar, as if warning Gu Hai not to approach. Oh, a living stone. Gu Hai's eyes stared. Without stopping in his hand, his probing hand grabbed it again. Finally, it touched the heaven execution stone. Boom! Thousands of times, the previous lightning rushed straight into Gu Hai's body. Be careful, Lim Wanna instantly shouted in alarm. 1,000 times lightning. It was so powerful that even the fire god couldn't take it anymore. The lightning ran amok and rushed straight into the brow space, as if it was going to blow up Gu Hai. Buzz, boom. But it was the heavenly Zun divine seal in the brow space that violently trembled, and a great suppressive force boomed to suppress all the lightning in the body out. The king's might could not be blasphemed, and before the drought demon's fire did not surge into Gu Hai's brow, it was considered that it did not mess with the heavenly Zun divine seal. At this moment, the thunderbolt was looking for itself, but it had angered the heavenly Zun divine seal. The black chess piece on the heavenly Zun divine seal even blossomed into a black light that blasted towards the heavenly execution stone. Buzz! The heavenly execution stone bloomed with dazzling purple light, resisting this black light in general. Rumble! The black light and violet light would not let anyone, but it was obvious that the black light had the upper hand in general. The violet light disobeyed and wanted to resist, but it simply couldn't resist. Since you're not convinced, why don't you enter my brow and fight? Gu Hai said in a deep voice. As if it understood Gu Hai's words, the heaven execution stone actually stopped resisting Gu Hai's right hand and was agreed to be grabbed by Gu Hai. Buzz! Steeply, the heaven execution stone strangely entered Gu Hai's brow space. Hey, you put it away. Fairy Wanna was surprised. Hurry up. Gu Hai's face sank. However, the heavenly execution stone was put away, and steeply, the golden runes that were with the heavenly execution stone finally couldn't stand the resistance of the treasures below in general. Boom! With a loud bang, the golden rune exploded. In an instant, the seal was lifted, and the endless light was finally no longer the little bit it was earlier, but was completely released, shining universally, instantly coalescing into the drought demon's flame, erupting into 1,000 times more flames, and roaring up into the sky. Gu Hai and Lin Wanna were not afraid of the drought demon fire, but they could feel below, as if there was a scorching heat rushing up to the sky chasing them out in general. This scorching heat was too fierce, 10,000 or even 100,000 times that of the drought demon fire in general. And the two of them believed that, even if they were immune to the drought demon fire, they could still be incinerated by it in general. Hurry! Fairy Wanna's face changed as she grabbed Gu Hai's arm and blasted up into the sky. Rumble! Aengi! The flames below erupted, condensing a fire dragon roaring up into the sky.